Okay, so now that you know how to use the point of view resource, you are ready to start researching your PSA topic. If you remember from reading the argumentative data sheet that we did the Venn diagram over, you'll remember that the first step in researching a topic for argumentative writing is to actually do that research with a close read. So the very first thing I want you to do is read through your document or documents a first time. And while you're reading through your documents, you are going to do some annotations. So, first of all, I want you to circle any words you don't know and look up their meanings. Also, you're going to look for any possible claims on either side of the issue. So if you see any of these, feel free to highlight them or underline them. Also, you can put an exclamation mark next to any interesting or important facts. And put a question mark next to anything you don't understand, and then ask your teacher when you're done reading. This is an example of what my paper looked like after the first close read. So you can see I have some words circled there, and I also have some things highlighted. So for example, on the second page there, I have the words dementia pugilistica circled, and I wasn't really sure what that meant, and after looking it up I realized that the pugilistica means boxer and the dementia part means confusion, which makes sense because when I read that area it says a form of dementia that often affects professional boxers. There's also another big word in there called neurodegenerative, and when I looked that up it said deterioration of the nervous system. So it's really essential that you not only circle the words you don't know, but also that you go back and look them up. Otherwise, you're not going to understand the article, and that's going to have an effect on how persuasive you are in your reasoning. Okay, also, I've just highlighted a few things here that I thought were important. For the first part there, it says post-concussion syndrome, and then it gives information on the results of a concussion. Now you'll notice that area is right here. I have written results of a concussion underneath it. Whenever you highlight something, I would recommend that you write a note off to the side so that you remember why you highlighted it. Otherwise, you're going to look back and you're going to see all kinds of highlights and you're not going to remember why you highlighted any of that information. It's just a time saver for later. And if you'll notice down here, I have the word fatal circled with an exclamation mark because it actually says that a second impact concussion can result in death, which I was not, I did not realize that. So that was something that I found interesting and I put an exclamation mark by it. Now back to the first page here. I also highlighted what I thought to be probably the three key issues that were going to be discussed in this article. Now at the time that I highlighted it, I didn't realize if that was actually true or not, but I wanted to mark those just in case. And the note I put next to it says 3 basic areas of debate, so that I remembered what that was. Okay, now with any close reading, you know you're going to do a second reading because after you finished your first reading, now you're reading for a different purpose. So now you should be ready to make your own claims and recognize the counterclaims after you have read through all of the information. So the 2 questions at the bottom there just are to help you kind of get to thinking about what your claim should be. So first of all, you should reflect on the arguments that you accept from the article. So the point, the counterpoint, or a completely different argument. Which one really strikes you as the most logical? And then the second question for you, what's the single most compelling argument and why? And that's going to be important because you are going to be your most persuasive on the argument that you feel is the most important. So now a second time through, I'm looking for claims and counterclaims, and you can see on the first sheet there, I did find 2 claims that I would be interested in pursuing. The first claim is to have stricter concussion policies in professional sports, And the second claim is to change rules and add penalties for those who break them in professional sports. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but my research is going to be on concussions in professional sports. I also found a couple of possible counterclaims. So the first counterclaim I found was actually on the Point article, and it says increased awareness of the causes, symptoms, and the long-term effects of sports-related concussions, not drastic rule changes, will reduce the number and severity of head injuries. So I thought, okay, well, that says the opposite of what I think, because I do think they need to change the rules. So that's my one counterclaim. And then the second counterclaim I found states, hold on a second. The second counterclaim I found, which is this one right down here, states that financial stakes for pro sports leagues and balancing of medical consequences for athletes and the pressure of corporate culture of winning outweighs the possibility to change the culture, the pro sports culture of concussions. So basically what that says is the money involved is going to determine whether they change or not. And so I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was something that I could possibly refute pretty easily. Okay, you are going to do a third reading. And remember, on your second and third reading, you wouldn't have to read that necessarily straight through from beginning to end. You've already made some notes, and so now you can kind of go back and reread your notes and then read for deeper information. So for the third reading, this time you're looking for reasons and evidence to support your claims, and you're also looking for evidence to refute the counterclaims. So that would be your rebuttal. And as you find these, you're going to add them to your graphic organizer. Now, the graphic organizer I'm talking about is this one, and you'll find this on the writing activities page. So I already picked out my first claim, and so now I'm looking for a reason for my first claim and then evidence to back that up, and then a second reason and evidence to back that up, and a third reason and evidence to back that up. As you are looking for evidence, please remember to give credit to the authors of these articles. So the evidence you take from these articles are evidence that they gathered, and you are using their knowledge. So you do need to do in-text citations. Remember, the in-text citation is the author's last name included in parentheses, and you can put those right into this graphic organizer. So for example, if you have evidence right here, you can put it in parentheses right at the end of that evidence, so that as you go to write your scripts later on, you already have that citation in there. So you can say, according to, in my case, Flynn is the name of one of the authors of this article, so I could say, according to Flynn, this is the evidence I found. Okay, so that will help you out later. At this point, you can go back to your own topics and your own articles and start doing your own research.